Welcome to Opposites Distract. I'm Jared.
Bo.
And we are very excited. We have a friend, Kevin, from Stoke Ridge, and he has this beautiful space that we're working out, all the kinks and everything. We got these great producers behind the scenes.
Yes.
Jen, Wade, Deja, and we're very excited about this episode. What a crazy week. They say things or deaths happen in three, and the week started off with, Malcolm Jamal Warner from The Cosby Show. It was like tragic death, and then Ozzy Osbourne, and then just today, or depending when you see this, but today Hulk Hogan passed away, and it's like, what is going on? And then we're going to get into other, things that you have a show that you're really interested in, but of course we're going to have to cover the Coldplay Kiss Cam controversy. Yeah. So we'll get into that in just, as the episode unfolds.
Yes. But let's start with what you think we should start with. What is that?
Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan died today, if you're watching this today.
Yeah, we just found out moments before we started the podcast that Hulk Hogan died, and he was like at top of our wish list for our podcast.
He was.
So that's going to be a hard get.
It's going to be really hard to get. Yeah, we had people working on that too.
Yeah, and so...
But I mean, is it really a shocker? Like the dude...
It is a shocker, though. I mean, no one was like... Because I think when two people died this week, and not to be morbid, but two people died, you think, who could be the third one? You start thinking like older people. He was 71, older actors. I think I know where you're going with that, but as far as I didn't think, when people saw it, when anyone I told wait, what?
Yeah, I'd say the same thing.
Hulk Hogan, you thought it was a joke, you're kidding.
It was a joke, yeah.
But then you start thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the dude's been going 100 miles an hour since the daggum 80s.
Right.
Not just that, but steroid use, drug use. It's obvious how long, the steroids, it affects people's lifespan. It drops at 20, 30 years sometimes. And I'm not surprised. And seeing the dude in interviews like he's going to have a heart attack right then. It's just over the top always.
And he's been traveling nonstop. Yeah. He has this he had a new beer brand that he was really pushing, and he did some stuff, controversial because he was at the RNC recently. He was like tearing his shirt off, but he was full energy the whole time. It didn't seem like he was unhealthy, but also like 71 now looks a lot different than 71 when I was like a kid.
Oh yeah.
The people at 71, they were like super old looking. Yeah.
Or
you
like
could tell.
The Golden Girls. They show these size comparisons of like, here's what 45 in the 80s looked like versus now. But dudes are the same way. But again, I don't think you can overstate the damage that the dude's liver and heart went through for the years of steroids and drugs and all the other stuff going on. It does destroy insides out.
And for me, if you think about Hulk Hogan, like I remember distinctly being at my friend's house, Brandon Sexton. I'm bad with names, but I remember his name.
B. Sexton.
In fourth grade, I was excited because they invited me to spend the night, his family, and my parents say, we don't know them, but we met them. They're like, okay, you can. And they got the pay-per-view WWE, actually WWF at the time. It was Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. Man. And that was I think the biggest WrestleMania of all time up to that point. And I think 80 to 100,000 people in the arena. And it's when Hulk Hogan picked up Andre the Giant and body slammed. Of course, we know it's fixed and all that stuff, but
wait, what?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to the steroids thing. Would you ever partake in steroids?
No.
Really?
No.
Never?
I don't want to say never, say
grew
never.
Your hair back.
Yes, of course I would.
Yeah, of course.
I mean,
it's pretty prominent now. I mean, there's TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. A lot of people, young guys, even get on this stuff now. It's like the OnlyFans for guys. It's like you're starting OnlyFans for your girl, but guys, you're doing steroids at 30 years old.
Well, people like Joe Rogan. I'm not saying steroids, but when you hear him talk about different things, he's on every injection imaginable and every cocktail imaginable. I mean, he's health conscious and he looks good and he's in great health. But I'm like, well, yeah, a little bit easier. And he does, he works out all the time and eats right. But then you start hearing about he's taking this shot, he's taking that shot, and not illegal stuff. But that gives you an advantage. I mean, I got my testosterone tested, and I was very disappointed when they said I had normal testosterone levels because I wanted to start taking testosterone because I know people that have, and they're like, my energy's through the roof, muscles better, the fat just flies off. And he said, once you start this, and it's totally legal, the testosterone, you have to be on it for the rest of your life.
Well, okay, about that. Full disclosure, it was like 2 years ago. I got my blood tested, and it was fine, but I had a cool doctor who's now fired. I don't know why, but I was like, I want to start some TRT. I'm getting back into the gym. I'm getting back to about 215, which is, I'm 6'2", so 215, 6'2" is pretty good. Went on it, dude. When I say that I understand bipolar and schizophrenia, better than I ever possibly could because it changed my brain of how I thought and processed information. And it was scary. So I did it for like 3 months and I just could not function. And then I immediately went to the doctor and said, look, I got to stop this. Well, you got to wean off. You got to wean off here. And then you take this to help, boost your natural testosterone back to the level. But that was that long ago. And I've felt so much better since. It really did change. I talked about that much about it because it was not something that I was doing necessarily to get like massive size. Just like, okay, you're hitting that mid-30 stride, we tighten things up a bit, in front of camera some. I gained the weight, but it was all water weight. And if you go back and look at photos from like 2022, maybe, it was like I was just bloated and none of my clothes fit.
So you were me for a couple of months. You felt like you know what it's like to be me for a couple of months.
I know that, and schizophrenia. Yeah, and bipolar. Not to just talk a little about that because I understand that's a serious thing.
Absolutely.
And after you can't even if your hormones are jacked and whacked, then you can't function at all. And the reason why it affected me the way it did, I didn't know this until afterwards. The doctor said, have you ever had a head injury that could have damaged your pituitary gland? I said, it's quite possible. I had a very bad injury when I was 8 years old on the back of my head, fell, like concussion, unconscious for hours. And they said, that is a very common. If you've actually damaged your pituitary gland, the way that testosterone is processed, it doesn't know how to process the synthetic, and so it just acts erratic, and it does change like your hormones, your levels, your psychotic nature. My poor wife, she's a saint for sticking with me during that because it was a daggum nightmare, the worst thing ever.
And then it may you even forget, like, why am I acting this way? And you're like, oh, wait a minute, it might be this.
Yep.
Well, and then you got to, I think, give women more credit that on a monthly basis, I've read, I don't know if it's true, I don't know if there's any facts behind it, they have a cycle, is my understanding. I've heard about it. It's a rumor, it's a myth.
From elementary school, I'm sure.
But seriously, every month their hormones are just raging. And then like we might go on a medication or we're on a Z-Pack that has some minor steroids, or you take some and you feel insane for like a week or two or a couple of months. And it
really did change the way I handled certain situations, particularly because I know, like you said, with females, it can be all over the place certain periods of time of the month. So with that, the grace that you give is like, oh, I get it. I get where you literally, it's impossible to process information. When I was on testosterone, I could not even think logically. It was just pure hormone. It was a nightmare. So I get it. I have grace now.
Yeah. So whether, Hulk Hogan did admit to steroid use.
Yeah.
And you just never know. I mean, I don't know his family genetics. I don't know if everyone in his family dies at around a certain age. It does play a part. 71 to me was shocking, but he's definitely like a rags to riches story.
How old was Ozzy? Because he just died.
76.
Okay, so we know what killed him. Drugs. A lot of drugs for a long period of time, and he got Parkinson's, obviously. I don't know if it's related, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't help. I mean, that's going to shorten your life. Something that I thought was interesting about Ozzy Osbourne, I think a lot of people our age, because I'm a lot younger than Bo, as you can tell, our age is the Osbourne show, obviously Black Sabbath, all this. But this is one of I didn't know this until he died. I didn't find out until this week. The infamous, he's at a concert and he bites the head off a bat. Sure. He said he didn't know. The whole time we thought he did it on purpose. Like he knew he had a bat and he bit the head off. That's been the lore, and he did bite the head off a real bat. Yeah. He said people were throwing things on stage, and he saw the bat. It just happened to be, I don't know, somebody brought it or whatever. He thought it was fake. He said, I was bite the head off, and then he did it, and later he's like during the concert, he's like, I just bit the head off a real bat. I could die.
He felt the blood going down his throat. I heard the same thing. Yeah.
And then about 2 of his kids for sure. He has 3. One didn't want to be a part of the show, but he actually has 6 kids.
Same person with
no,
Sharon?
he was married before Sharon. He had 3 kids. I think one's a step kid, but he had a total of 6 kids. But just a very interesting career. And he had that huge final concert 2 weeks ago.
Ironic.
They raised like several $100 million, and he sounded good. I mean, he was sitting down. He sounded good. And then here it is 2 weeks later, dead.
I was never a big fan. I mean, I didn't really see it wasn't really my jive of music, but he was definitely a rock icon, the rock icon.
Yeah, when they play like the montages, I agree. I wouldn't be like, I'm going to listen to Black Sabbath or Ozzy Osbourne. But then when they do the montage of his hits, there's like 4 or 5 songs like, okay, I like that song. Yeah. And one was a big song on Guitar Hero.
Crazy Train?
Yeah, something like that. And it was like, that's how I know. It's just funny how we all know it from different things. Like older generation, they probably grew up, that was their thing. And some people of a younger generation too. And so to me, that's wild. And then the week kicked off with, as I view him, Theo Huxtable. in Malcolm Jamal Warner dying of accidental drowning in Costa Rica.
Was it heart related and then he died? Because ironically, we had a family friend. I think the same within a week. He was at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and was in the water and had a tragic heart attack and died in the water. And so they didn't know if it was drowning or whatever the case might be. And so praying for that family, by the way. And so I don't know, was it related to heart or?
They've already said it was the asphyxiation.
So he drowned.
So yeah, he drowned. And they said the rip current is so bad that there was somebody else said he was with a friend and he just celebrated his daughter's 8th birthday or 9th birthday. But he was out there and they're out there swimming and stuff and they got caught up in a rip current and they drowned. And then what we learned about, I remember being in Cancun years ago.
So let me stop real quick. This is what I don't understand. I hear that all the time. The rip current pulls someone out, right?
Right.
Is it not possible for someone to tread water for an hour? Is that
Depends.
or float and just don't panic?
I think
that's
the panic's
thing.
the part.
The panic, yeah, because you realize I'm a mile from the shore, but for the most part, unless you don't freak yourself out with the sharks that's underneath you, you
Right.
can be okay because they know you're missing. They're going to send people out right away. It's very common though. I don't understand why.
And the only reason I can relate to it is because I was in a similar situation. I mean, I don't know exact situation, but a similar situation in Cancun where they had, they have the flags on the beach and they're flapping big time. And I was talking to a coworker. We were on a work trip and we were kind of standing and it's kind of waist deep and they're kind of, then it was kind of chest deep. We're kind of just talking. Then all of a sudden it was just it felt like someone was pulling both of us and they started blowing the whistle, get in here. And it took every ounce of energy. I was in much better shape then. Every ounce of energy fighting to barely get to the shore, that if it was any later, I think I would have drowned. I was panicking big time, but it wasn't over my head. But it was like the strongest, the most powerful. I mean, the ocean, the water, those bodies of water are so powerful. Because I never understood them. Why don't you just wait? Well, they do say either you let the current take you and just kind of go with it. Yeah, it's going to take you farther than you probably feel comfortable. Then when it calms, then you can just go back. Or you're supposed to swim sideways, is my understanding. Don't go against it. Against it, that's the problem. You get tired out, or you start swallowing water, or it depends on the type of water.
So if you were out a mile, would you have the capability to swim back a mile?
I would just sink and just die.
Yeah, that'd be your go-to.
Yeah.
I'd probably get on my back and just start slowly kicking.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
on my back, I'd be all right.
Yeah.
But then if a wave comes, well,
Well, if you're going inland, you shouldn't really have to cross too many waves.
maybe the waves will probably bring you in if
Right,
it switches up.
right.
But the choppy water, and when it's hit, and it wasn't that deep, and it was the scariest. And then the coworker was like, "What was that?" And it happened just like that.
Yeah.
Beautiful day outside. It wasn't a storm. Just all of a sudden, just nature took over, and it's super scary.
Yeah, well, I have never had an experience like that. Well, one time, whitewater rafting at the place in Charlotte.
That's a cool place.
It's a really cool place. And it was you got knocked off, and then I immediately started feeling pulled to this waterfall area that they have. So it was pulling me to this waterfall, and they're swim sideways, like you said.
Yeah.
And fortunately, got out, and I didn't die that
You
time.
didn't?
That time.
Oh, that time, okay.
I did a different time.
You've died on film, though, before, right?
Yeah, a couple times. I was talking about this last week. A couple times, yeah. I was in Nashville for the Coldplay concert, which was amazing.
We got to get into that. Yeah, tell the story, but I want to get
we'll
to
get
it.
into that. And I forgot where I was going with that.
When you died on camera?
Oh, yeah. And someone said, we were at the hotel and said, I think I've seen you die on camera. I laughed. I was like, well, yeah, if you saw, and said, that was the movie. That was great. I got a wrench to the temple. That was one.
A wrench to the temple.
A wrench to the temple. And then heroin overdose was another one. And so, yeah, we're moving on the ranks. I haven't got my head shot off yet, though.
Well, there's always time.
There's a lot of time to that. You had to build up to those.
Now, with acting, did you have a way? I mean, obviously you hit the head with the wrench. I mean,
just go limp.
Just
limp.
throw
yourself. Yeah, because I'm standing there, and then I get hit with a wrench. I fall back into the toolbox.
Okay.
And so it's this whole big stage thing. So we rehearsed a lot, and then they put the real stuff in, and you just fall backwards. Fortunately, I had to do 3 times because there was no padding on the bottom, which a lot of times there'd be padding for you to fall on, but this was not. This is just concrete. So I'd keep falling down, but it was cool.
I mean, did they do a close up of you dead?
Yes. Eyes open. Both times I died eyes open.
Did they do eyes open because it's easier because they think you're... Well, no, I don't know. It seems like it'd be way harder.
It is way harder. When I died of the heroin overdose, we had a 2-minute scene with coverage on me with the 2 detectives talking about me. And so I did have to several times say, I'm sorry, but I blinked and then but they'll edit that. They'll edit that around, so I think it's impossible to.
Wouldn't it be easier to have your eyes closed?
Yeah, but
what is the thought behind it? It's just more dramatic.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. That's a big detail to think like, you weren't going peacefully. I think maybe it's like this.
Yeah, I think it just happened. Like,
yeah. Your eyes are just dead, staring up at the ceiling.
I don't know if that's even accurate in real life. Maybe people die with their eye. I don't know. I have no idea.
You've never seen a dead body?
I did.
Not the ones you killed.
I was married twice during sexy time. It felt that way.
Right,
Is that the same? I don't think they're awake. I mean, they were, but it was like
no noise,
they weren't moving. No, I'm joking.
Movement, nothing.
No, but no, I've saw a dead body in South Africa. I've been to funerals, but that's different.
Sure.
But some of you mean
on
dead
the
before they're like a couple times, but I'm not like staring at it.
Yeah, I couldn't help. One time I came up on a car wreck at like 3 a.m. on the highway. And got out, and there was 3 cars piled up, and they were just smoking. So I got out, walk over, and look to see. And of course, there's 4 people in this one car, and it's just smashed. And both front are kind of leaned over, bleeding. But the ones in the back, like the rear end was pushed in, and they were folded into like a V. Like a inverse V, and so they both were just like squished. I was like, "Oh my god!" So I called the cops, got in my car, and left because like I don't want to be asking questions about.
Were their eyes open or just gruesome?
They were folded in half, facing down.
Oh,
yeah. So like broke them in half.
And that's the thing sometimes with like firefighters and stuff. You're like, oh, they fight fires, but then they're like first responders.
Yeah,
they see so much stuff, and police officers. You think, oh, they're fighting crime, but they're also the first responders to like these horrible accidents, to see all these dead. It's just like the mind should not be, you cannot process that. That's got to be very difficult.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. Like, I don't think you can. If you do, you get really desensitized. Really desensitized. I have a friend whose wife is an EMT, and they talk about some of the stuff every day. It's just, cleaning up a head on the highway, and they're just talking about lunch. It's just, it feels so disconnected, and like you're a member of Dexter, the serial killer, to be like that okay. But they do it, and they get paid a very meager wage to do it too.
Yeah, EMTs, and they're there. I guess anything, the human body and mind does adjust, but there's got to be some sort of toll on like somewhere in your life. It's not great.
At a mortuary.
I'm just a little queasy.
Yeah,
like things like that. Thank God we don't get to do podcasts for a living.
Well, I've dated. I was married to one and recently dated somebody in the medical field, and it's so great for me because they see gross things all the time. So when they see me, it's like
he's not gross at all.
It's not gross at all.
They have the highest per capita cheat rate of any job is medical nurses.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go some other direction.
I'd go like elementary school teacher.
There's actually teaching's high up there, believe it or not, because you have
the boredom.
I think the boredom. For whatever reason, there's some correlation where there's a high. Well, it makes sense if you're in an industry where it's mostly men, then you're not going to see that as much. But nurses are, and obviously, I've heard women can be doctors. I don't know. I would never go to one. Would you go to one? No.
A female doctor?
No. They don't exist. It's not true.
Maybe it was a Motley Crue video.
But
what's up?
Nurses typically are female, and then doctors typically are surgeons typically. By statistics are male, and so you have that dynamic. So you have a lot of females, and usually younger, and the cheating. But they also with teaching, there's more females than men typically, and for a reason, a high level of cheating in the teaching profession.
It makes you wonder. Why. Why is this so prominent?
I think people spending long hours with the opposite sex is just not a great idea.
That was why I retired my wife when she was 23 years old. I am not going to have you working at an insurance company getting Googled by these,
oh my gosh,
guys, a salesman on top of that. And it's like, I'm very protective of very few things, but she's like top of the list.
Oh, you're very protective. I'm glad you are.
Just a natural thing. And so when that was the case, I was like, yeah, I don't care what I have to do. I will go back to thieving if it requires me to get you and bring you home.
And then she gets to watch you go on film and kiss other women.
Yes, precisely. She thinks it's hilarious.
No, she's great.
That's the thing. It takes a special breed to be able to handle, because there's a lot of like feast or famine. There's a lot of like very unique situations, unlike any other industry. And so for us, fortunately, like I said, if it didn't work for her, I'm SOL. I don't have a second at bat. This is it.
Yeah, she's. We're all friends. She's great. Yeah. I mean, she's like just an awesome person, and you guys are great together. But speaking of, we're talking about cheating. So the Coldplay, Kiss Cam, cheating CEO, cheating with the HR woman.
The irony.
To me, the irony. Yeah, the HR woman is the one also cheating. Both married, And the thing that's so crazy.
Was she married? I heard. Okay.
No, she's married.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because she's married, and because they found the husband and they found the wife, the ones that got cheated on. It's just terrible, and they have kids. It's a horrible thing. And the crazy thing about it, Coldplay did the whole thing, and they said, oh, they must be super shy or they're cheating or whatever.
Yeah.
But, Coldplay, obviously they had the camera that went around to do that. Kiss cam's normal at sporting events and I guess sometimes at concerts. If they just acted normal, if they just kissed, there's no viral video because the person that posted it was like, well, that was weird. And that's been the most explosively viral thing that I've seen since like Will Smith got Will Smith slapped Chris Rock.
Yeah.
But it's like if they just would have just did nothing.
That's bold.
They're like diving on the ground. It's like
even to go out in public.
I know.
Like, this is not like it's a first time thing for these guys to go out in public with other employees there. Yeah, other employees there. They're like hush hush on the whole thing. But they did the Kiss Cam at the Coldplay concert I was at. But I'm gonna tell you, when I say they were acting weird and squirrely when they're announcing they're going to do it, because everyone in the whole stadium, this is at Tennessee Titans Stadium in Nashville, everyone when they said they're going to do a cam just started laughing.
Yes.
And you imagine the influence of this guy and this girl who got caught in an affair. It's a cultural phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they were like, okay, for real, we're coming around with a camera. And so I think he said, if your hair's not looking right or you're wearing a hat, whatever, you can duck or something like that. And everyone just started losing it.
So when they cut to people, because my thought was after the scandal, if you go to a Coldplay concert, like if they cut to me and if a girlfriend or you and your wife, I would want to do something silly.
100%.
Were people doing that?
Well, that's what's happened. Now, at every ball game, everywhere, you're seeing people mimicking that exact reaction. Like they've practiced this. If we get on Kiss Cam, you look this way, I duck down. And so it's like now a trend when you get on Kiss Cam to act like this affairs couple. Affairs, is that a word?
Yeah.
Affarious.
There's nefarious. Adulterous
couple. Let's go with that.
But nefarious is you can put them together.
I did graduate high school. Barely. But I did graduate. Yeah, I mean, it's a cultural phenomenon.
No, and the memes are just, because then if you stop and think, like, man, these people, there's people on the other side of it that get, and I've been cheated on before. It's like the worst freaking feeling when you find out. It's like gut punch. And then they can't even deal with it in private. Maybe there's something to it, the fact that all these people think that they're jerks that might help the ones that got cheated on. But, Joe Exotic from prison, Tiger King, posted a Photoshop photo of him holding Carol Baskins, the one that he's in prison for hiring a hitman for.
Yeah.
And he's like, I couldn't resist. But everyone's getting on board with the memes. Probably the worst one I saw was it's the Kiss Cam. Somebody did a Photoshop thing. It's Bill Cosby holding that lady, but she's asleep. I was like, dang, the internet is just brutal, man.
Vicious. I follow this account. It's Diabolical Comments, and it's just funny videos. They're not funny by nature. They're just like weird people doing weird stuff, and then the comments below it. Dude, I've never howled so hard in my life, completely obliterating these people. And so I think that's what makes no one's funnier than the internet and like the people at large.
You're crowdsourcing humor.
100%, particularly on those kind of sites. So like for me, I think they should keep roasting this dude.
Oh, absolutely. And he's
make an example.
Extremely arrogant. And he resigned because some people are like, well, maybe his marriage, maybe he was separated, maybe she was separated. You don't duck and like almost sprint off the thing and then resign. Well, he was forced to resign and all the stuff. If you can say easily, hey, I know it looks bad, but I've been separated from my wife. And people are like, oh, okay. You wouldn't do that. And again, if they would have just sat there, if they would even made out on camera, no one would have thought anything of it because they don't know who he is. But like to go back, I want to get your opinion on this. I've been cheated on. Yeah. And when I found out how it happened, the person literally went on a date in public in the same city we're in. That's a very busy place.
Coworker?
With an ex. Oh. And you're like, it must be something about people who cheat. Either they're so into it or they're so selfish that they just don't care.
I think a lot of it too is they're looking for a thrill.
Yeah.
They're looking for that high school thrill. Remember when we started talking to a girl and then like she talked back, we wrote notes back in the day and had them delivered by carrier pigeon, but we would have notes and we'd get like that thrill and that rush. It feels like that's a pretty common thing with these people. It's like they just are looking for this rush and this thrill. Clearly, if you see this guy's wife who he cheated on was way hotter than this HR chick.
And they're interviewing people, and I don't know, sometimes there's a pile-on effect, but that worked at this astronomer's place where he was CEO. said that they hated him. He's like a terrible boss, awful, and they're glad he's gone. And then today or the other day, he has hired legal counsel and is seeing if he can sue Coldplay.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you cheating, you know.
Yeah. He'll have a book deal soon. You watch.
Oh, yeah.
Like these cultural influencers, they're able to ride this thing for about 3-4 months. They'll get a book deal. He'll probably get an agent. He'll do like a memoirs, and it'll be this whole like a coaching seminar soon. Like this is how this
This is how
cycle
you recover
works.
after cheating. Yeah.
Right. I mean, Jordan Belfort from Wolf of Wall Street did a similar thing. You know, he went to prison and then he got out, and now he has this, self-help or this sales, material that he sells and, kind of pushes out there. I mean, that's like the cycle for these fads, I feel like, on social media.
Yeah, because we like train wrecks for whatever reason, and this is the biggest train wreck. But people that do that type of stuff, I don't like to say people get what they deserve in a lot of situations. They get what they deserve and more.
Yeah, 100%.
I did see a meme where it showed like a close up of the HR lady, and it says, "If you're going to cheat on your wife, if you're going to give up your $50 million a year job, don't do it with her."
Yeah,
and because.
Well, that probably tells you it wasn't the first one.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't start there. You probably start with a hottie, and then, like, you can't get another hottie. So you got to move down the totem pole, and pretty soon you're banging the HR mid at best.
Yeah, at best. And then, like you said, there's other, like in a box area or whatever they're in, with other coworkers, when they know that's our boss, and that's not his wife, and they're cheating, and you're doing it so brazenly. That just shows you're just a total narcissist.
Well, that's it. It has to be a narcissist, because for me, if I was to cheat and if I was to be around other people, I would be thinking, if I make one of these people mad as their boss and fire them, or they do something, nefarious, I got to get rid of them. They have blackmailing me. Thank you, Jeffrey Epstein, for laying the blueprint for this. Mm-hmm. But you have blackmail. You have all these people aware of the situation. Now, at any point, they can just pull the plug and be like, look, you're going to give me a pay raise. You're going to, give me this job. You're going whatever. Or this is coming out. That's what I'd never understand that.
Yeah, my understanding, the HR lady was promoted pretty quickly, is what I heard, within the company to that position. And
head of HR.
Yeah, and then the lady
of HR.
That's how she got the promotion.
No,
and then there was a lady in the shot that she was like going like this, like putting her hand by her face, and she also got promoted quickly, and she knew they were cheating. Obviously, she works there. Now, not saying that she's involved with them, but it was like it's just this big secret. And then the poor wife's at home with the kids, like while he's gone traveling, and he's just out there on a date with the HR lady.
Well, what's going to happen in the next 20, 30 years, right? When everyone meets through social media apps. That's how people meet, right? We used to, you do, high school, college, maybe a bar, club, very rarely.
Church.
A church. But, what's going to happen in the next generation when half of the girls have done OnlyFans, and you have those repercussions. And then
half the dudes or all the dudes are subscribing to OnlyFans.
Correct. And paying their subscriptions. I mean, it begs the question, what is that going to look like? Because this guy, I bet you, was trained on traditional values, and he kind of went the traditional route. Well, let's take that out of the picture. What if he had none of that? What's that going to look like for culture coming up here? That's kind of a tricky question to answer.
That's a great question. And also just, I think we're raising a generation of serial killers or narcissists. We're narcissists for sure. And it's not younger people's fault. It's not our fault. I mean, it's like this is what they grow up with now is the selfies and social media, and you got to get the likes, got to get the likes. And our minds are not capable of all this emotion and feelings. And that's why there's so much depression with moments you're off social media, and it's so bad for teens and screen time. All the things show. I've said for years now that I think social media will be our generation smoking. We're like, we allowed this, and we're just like, yeah, sure, whatever. And we're going to look back at the repercussions. But like, when I'm single, and right now I am, unfortunately, and I'm on the dating app, and I was talking to somebody on there, and we were talking about how there's an illusion. We talk about this on our morning show, but an illusion of good options. There's technically you have a lot of options, but they're not great.
Sure.
And so you go on a date. I mean, I've definitely been on a date, and I'm like, well, I got 30 matches on my phone.
Right.
When before you have to kind of actually put more of an effort and not.
Well, that's it. I think because with anyone, no one is matched perfectly yin and yang out the door. I think me and my wife are now, but we weren't when we first started dating. So, but let's say that you don't have that introduction because the first time you meet up, as is notorious, so you're already hooking up. There's not that buffer there to actually grow and develop if I want this person, because there's too many other options. I've said this many times, all of my friends as well. You're not supposed to know how many hot, horny girls are within 5 miles of your house. You're not supposed to know that because it's going to do detrimental damage to whatever productivity you're trying to have, because you're going to be constantly distracted. So the availability that no, you have one flaw. No, there may be someone else out there I can go get it from. That's going to be a problematic for an actual real relationship, which we're seeing, obviously. No,
it's an illusion. And I mean, I could talk about my personal experience, my girlfriend
it's okay.
of 2 years. Because your wife hears
really
about it. Yeah, Bo hates it because last time your wife is so sweet and she's friends with my ex, which is weird to say, but we're off and on for 2 years, but mostly on the last 10, and fully on the last 10 months. And we're trying to figure things out and all that stuff. But we've, I think, been victims of that where we felt, I think she at one point, or we would break up and then you'd have a soft landing because you're like, well, I can be on an app tomorrow and be getting attention. Women, if you're a mediocre woman, you get on Bumble or whatever, you'll have 100 swipes immediately.
Where's the incentive to evolve and change and become better? Where's the incentive? None. Exactly.
Unless you start to realize, and so then we'd go out with other people and we're like, we actually love each other, and we kind of fell into this trap, or we broke up. We didn't break up because of that stuff, but I think in the back of your mind, it's like, this sucks, but I can get this attention and validation quickly and feel better about myself. I'm guilty. I'm definitely guilty of that, and it's a little bit embarrassing to admit, but guilty of I'll fill the void by talking to these strangers, and then I have to remember, these are people too. They're looking for something, and then you could get in the trap where you don't value what you have.
Oh, dude, I'm the opposite, because when I should walk away, I don't. I just sink my claws in deeper.
Well, you saw, for me, I'm that way, but it gets to a certain point where it's
for example, my now wife, at the time girlfriend, it was summertime, and she's like, we're fighting, as 20 and 18-year-olds do,
and 30 and 40 and 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds. Yeah,
we were fighting, and she thought it was too much. She's like, we need to go on break. We need to take a time out. And I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. And so she's like, a 30-day break. And I was incessant in talking to every family member, every girlfriend, anyone I can to get this message to. And lo and behold, 3 days later, she's like, "May we should talk." I'm like, "Yes, I will not walk away no matter what." Like I said, even if we should, it's like, nope, I'm not going to give you breathing room. I'm going to smother you with love, and I'm going to get better and change. And that's arguably why we have the best marriage ever.
No, you guys have, and I'm happy for you guys. And
she's the best.
And she is the best, but you guys respect each other. You're not just doing whatever you want, and she does whatever she wants, and it's not good stuff. You're doing good things.
Well, that's the thing. We talked about this yesterday. We're coming back from Tennessee. Was the only reason why we work is because I try to fill your needs and you try to fill my needs. I think when people get stuck in trying to, well, what about me? I'm tired. Mm-hmm. I'm this. Well, now you're feeling that need. Your partner didn't have a need to fill for you because you're doing it. If you didn't feel your own need and it was totally selfless, that other person has to pick up the slack to help you out because you haven't eaten in 2 days or you haven't had any sleep or whatever. And so that's, I think, the reason why I'm trying to meet her need, whatever it is, and then I don't worry about mine. Mine get met whenever I pay that forward, and she does the same thing. That's definitely a secret that most people are not going to learn because it's the OnlyFans era and social media era that cheapens everything.
Right, and then think about it when you do meet. Okay, so back in the day, and then we can maybe move on. But back in the day, you would meet somebody, or it's at school or whatever, and you might have the people at your school. So there's always that maybe a little bit of temptation. Of course, there's been cheating since the dawn of time.
But all the hot girls are all friends.
Right.
So you got to be careful.
So then it's trickier.
That's why my wife wouldn't go on a date with me because their girls were poisoning the well. You know who you are out there listening because I know you're listening.
And
you poisoned the well, but it didn't work. I won. I won.
But when you go on a date with somebody, okay, back in the day, when you went on a date with somebody, they may have somebody at church that they like. They may have somebody at school, or if they have a job, they may have somebody they like or they're interested in. When I go on a first date now, and it's from a dating app, I know that they have at least 100 dudes in their inbox, at least 100, and they're texting. So maybe you start getting thing, and then you're starting off on a bad foot because then a guy's still flirting with you, and you're not sure what you are yet. You're that phase where you're kind of getting to know each other, but you're not exclusive, and then you're texting, maybe girls are texting you, and it's just a freaking mess.
Yeah.
And so then
it's like spring break for everyone who's about to graduate.
And if you're listening and you're on the dating apps, I don't blame you, because it's just the way we are now. If you find someone that you care about, do whatever you can to make it work. And you can't control the person. I mean, Bo kidnapped his wife for the last 20 years, but take no for an answer. They call it stalking. It's okay, but it's different now.
Oh, definitely.
I've been guilty of like driving by the house. You get crazy. Love will make you insane.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane. And
if you don't care about somebody, you don't do that.
No, it's true.
That's the way I justify it. And that's what I said to the judge, but he didn't like that. Yeah. No. But it's just,
the prison sentence.
So you've got something good. Everything else is an illusion. The grass is not greener, and my dad's always said you got to mow that grass too. So like, it's going to be work.
Those are wise words.
He was very wise.
From Papa Pike.
Papa Pike, married 50 years. He respected my mom.
He knew what's up.
Yeah,
he knew what's up. It's a lost art.
It is.
Like, it's like what CGI is doing to movies is what these dating apps are doing to real relationships. It's cheapening the experience, and people know that. Yeah. People can sense when the CGI is taking over, and you don't care as much. Bringing it back to film. Speaking of film, CGI, the best movies ever, Pirates of the Caribbean, all of them, just all of them.
So you were on a kick.
Me and my wife, we went back and started watching them again, and I'm telling you, the CGI then is better than it is now by 50%. It's astronomical. So fortunately, they're coming with a new one. You've heard this, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're coming with a new one. They got Orlando Bloom coming back, Keira Knightley, and Johnny Depp coming back. So pretty pumped about that. But yeah, pirate is the way to be. The free lifestyle.
And just stealing things that aren't yours is easier than working. It's dangerous, though.
It is very dangerous. Well, it depends how you look at it. They're merchants and everything's dangerous back then. Would you rather be on a ship, looting and having adventures, or would you rather be working a factory? And you're making nothing.
You could say that now. Would you rather be working at a factory or go on an adventure and rob a bank?
Yeah, I'm not framing the
be
question.
Be a part of a heist. These heist movies are great.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean, but no, I have to check those back. I always like those movies.
So
and Johnny Depp is, he went through his Amber Heard stuff and the trial, and then Orlando Bloom's newly single.
Have you heard about him getting cast as Jack Sparrow and the story behind that?
No.
It's so interesting. So Disney hires him to do Pirates of the Caribbean. He shows up. He's prepped. He's got 3-4 months prep time. He comes in with a drunken, staggery walk. And well, they wanted this pirate to be like the pirate, the alpha. The dude who's got it buttoned up and he's tight and he's muscular. He's good at sword fighting. And Johnny Depp's like, no. It's here. It's in the comedy. Is in the physicality of this guy.
It's heavy.
So for weeks they shot, and they were going to reshoot and recast and start all over because they did not like what he was doing. And now we have one of the most iconic movie characters of all time,
right?
Despite the heads of state saying like, oh, we should really go more of this archetype. He's like, no, I'm not doing that. That's charismatic. That's bold. That's like a Johnny Depp level move. And he's the most charismatic person I've ever seen on camera.
Mm-hmm.
Like even in his trial, you're watching him, you're like, I can't help but root for this guy. I don't know what's happening. I want this guy to win because he's smirking. He's cool. He's not flustered. That's a loss.
And Amber Heard came across as not likable. And the facts kind of go out the window at that point.
For sure.
Not to retry that because, you're dealing with human beings on a jury and they're like, Johnny Depp, they're both stars, but he's likable and charismatic and she's not.
Yeah.
And
100%.
That's what it comes down to.
That's it.
Well, I love the new studio.
Dude, it's awesome.
We can actually hear ourselves in the headphones. I know you love seeing me in person.
It makes a big difference. Don't y'all think it makes a big difference? I think it makes a huge difference. I mean, I'm feeling the vibe here.
And appreciate Kevin champion.
Yes.
I think he thought we were going to be here for 30 minutes and it's been like 2.5 hours because we're getting things set up. And by we, not me or Bo, but Wade and Jen and Deja, they're really talented. So we're excited about it. And make sure you subscribe.
Yes,
and
absolutely. Subscribe, like, forward, 40. Okay, our producer said we're at 40 minutes.
That's good.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's good.